Right. Shall we say a couple of words about the project? Yeah, and the team. So the PeaceLab project is an initiative which has started a couple of months ago as an intention to bring together people, experts, practitioners, and those who are anyhow interested in the topic of civic peace building. Civic peace building is not a formal mainstream term. That's more or less something we came up with, meaning all the different activities around peace building, including negotiations, reconciliation, dialogue, world work, working with the collective trauma, working with the difficult past, all these kind of sorts of initiatives, which can be done and are done on the civic level, on the grassroots level. So not so much talking about the negotiations of the officials or the authorities, but more on the level of the ordinary people and communities and what we can do. And we had our first workshop a little bit more than a month ago with Mary Kelder. So I mean, I'm curious who has been to those workshops, to the first one. Can you raise your hand? Some people, less than half, right? So this is a second one. And we already have the third one also planned, which we will announce in the end of the meeting. And our speaker for the third workshop is also here. But let it be Enrique. Wait, Goran is already waving. So. And we also have launched, well, you could call it the second track of the project, something we called the PeaceLab Circle, meaning that these workshops are more or less public, and their intention is to spread the information, to raise awareness around the topics and issues which we are dealing here with. But we also have a smaller circle of those who want to discuss and work as a group and maybe choose the topics for the next meetings and maybe dive deeper into the conversations and reflections and dialogue and discussion, and maybe weaving together different initiatives. So this circle is also free to join, and we'll post the link in the end of the meeting, and we'll also announce the next meeting of this group, which is for everyone who would like to commit a little bit more than just attending the public workshops. And this initiative is independent, so it's just us. And when I say us, you can raise your hands, those who are the team members, your electronic hands, so that you are in the first row. Yeah, so this is Dmitry Makarov, Daria Ляхова, or Yuliana Shlyagina. There's also Daria Rudneva. I don't know if you can raise your hand. And a couple of more people who are just, got passionate about the topic. And we are doing it on our own. And it's also part of the bigger context of working with civic facilitation and difficult societal dialogues and societal group processes, which we are having. And I guess we can talk about it a little bit more, but maybe not now, so that we don't take too much time. Dima, would you like to add anything?
I just want to say that this small core team is basically responsible for organizing the workshops, and but that doesn't mean that the whole initiative is limited to that team. Moreover, we want to open it up to all other people who want to join. Part of that intention is going to be throughout the circle, which Vlad has announced, where we can be discussing about what topics we want to bring next, what ideas we have out of those workshops, what do we want to take the so-called civic peacekeeping further on, and so on. So consider this an invitation to join both the team of organizers for the concrete workshops, but also the larger team of ones who are thinking how to develop that topic together, because we have experts, people who we want to listen to and who want to learn from, but we also want to create a co-learning space. because that expertise has only limited value in our circumstances. Not to devalue it, it certainly has value. That's why we are asking those people to speak to us and share their experiences. But at the end, we have to invent it over again in the realities that we're facing now. So that's the intention and kind of a state of mind with which we are approaching this project, this 2 tracks, or maybe fewer more tracks. And we welcome everyone to join us in this search, what we call PeaceLab. It's a space for experiments in many aspects. So, having said that, perhaps we can announce the concrete topic of this workshop and pass the word to Innocent Musore, who has worked with Rwanda and the consequences of genocide. And Innocent can say a few words about that further on. But from our perspective, we thought it was crucial to shift away from more usual areas of attention for us and look into Africa, look into Rwanda, look into people who work on the ground, who are activists working in somewhat similar circumstances, somewhat very different circumstances, but who are interacting with victims of trauma, who are interacting with perpetrators, and who are trying to rebuild a society which has been through a lot and which has suffered a lot, but looks into the future. So that's the intention of our workshop, and we are very happy to welcome Ines and to have him, to have you share your experience with us. I don't know, Vlad, you want to add?
Yeah, just a quick small thing. Since I feel personal connection with Innocent, Mary Calder, our first speaker, was more of your friend, and I feel personally connected to Innocent. So just a short story. Before we even met, about a year ago, when I started a channel in Telegram on different peace building practices, the case of conducting open forums and world work in Rwanda as reconciliation practice was the very first thing which I stumbled upon and which I watched. And some of you who has watched the documentary that I've posted in the channel about world work in Rwanda and open forums. Some of you have watched it. So this was the first thing which I also has posted in the channel and which I have researched more than a year ago. And so I knew about the initiative. I knew the facilitators of those meetings. And then this last autumn, I happened to be in the intensive in Kenya, the Deep Democracy Institute intensive, which Dmitry was also a part of. And on one of the lunch breaks, I'm just approaching Innocent and we just have, a random chat. And I'm slowly realizing that this is exactly the guy whom I've seen in the documentary and whom I, wrote about, and suddenly things came to place. And since then, I wanted to invite Innocent in one way or another, to share his experience here with the Russian audience, but also a broader one, which we have here. So I feel you as a friend, and I'm really glad to have you here. Thank you for coming. And yeah, I guess we are giving the stage to you to share, the context, the work, and how the whole thing is done, whatever you would like to share with us. And sorry, just the last thing, and then I give it over to you. The structure for today's meeting is the following. So we have Innocent speaking for some time, like maybe 20 minutes or a little bit longer. And then we're going to go in the breakout groups where we will ask you to get to know each other very briefly and come up with the questions which you would like to ask Innocent or maybe, pose to the whole group. And then we will return and we will have a discussion, a dialogue or a Q&A session with Innocent and as a whole group based on those questions, right? So very light structure, no, much formal facilitation, but more or less that's how it will go. Right. And Innocent, stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you, brother Vlad. Thank you, Dreamity and others, friends and colleagues who are here today. Thank you for this great opportunity to invite me to share my experience and through my contribution about our work in Rwanda, post-genocide reconciliation. And it's an opportunity also to learn from your experience as well. It's a great. I take this as a big opportunity to me to learn from you. Yeah, thank you so much. As my colleague said, my name is Musore. I live in Rwanda. I work with my organization called Global Initiative for Environment and Reconciliation. It's a non-governmental organization with mission to support the existing peace building and reconciliation and sustainable development through, we can say, ecosystem conservation and improving livelihood. Why we are doing this work? You know, my country, Rwanda, is located in Africa. Central Africa is in eastern part of Africa. In 1994, a genocide happened, genocide against Tutsi, where more than 1 million people were killed because of their ethnic group. More than 250 women were raped. The country was totally destroyed. A lot of orphans, widows, and injuries. The effect of it was very huge. And what happened in Rwanda, we can't find the real word to say it because it's beyond our understanding what happened in Rwanda. The genocide against Tutsi, it was a long plan. It was executed and it was stopped. People are in a process of reconstruction, healing, constructing again social fabrics. But the effect of genocide is very, very huge. Even communities are still being affected with the effect of genocide. I said it's beyond our understanding. In genocide, husbands killed their wives. The wives killed their husband. Parents killed their children. Children killed their parents. Neighbors killed the people killed their neighbors, their brothers, because all Rwandans, we have one culture, one language. It is very, very difficult to understand it, but there is driving factors which supported the genocide. One of the driving factors, there are numbers of factors which helped to perpetrate genocide, like driving factors. We can say there is history of colonialism. We can say there is bad governance. We can say where the governance of that period helped to teach to hate. They teach to hate, to divide people, injustice, inequalities, violence. There is a lot of numbers of genocide, and we say it. If the government couldn't support it, it was not possible. But the government was behind that, supported, trained killers. So it is there is a lot of factors which contributed to make genocide happen. Yeah, as I said, in 100 days, 1 million were killed with a lot of consequences. Lucky genocide was stopped by the current government. The president, the current president we have, led the process to stop genocide. Was among the leaders of time who stopped the genocide, and we appreciate a lot. Genocide was stopped, but left a lot of effect, socio-economics, because I say the country was totally destroyed. Totally destroyed. All things were destroyed. You asked me to share about post-genocide reconciliation. One of the factors to support was the political will. The leadership of the country is the driving factors of this reconciliation was saying. Even our initiative and other partners supported, but the political will to reconcile, to help people, reconciliation policy. We had National Commission, National Commission Unity of Reconciliation. We have a lot of policies to support that. We had the Gachacha, justice and traditional, but it was a justice with reconciliation. We had gender equality. You know that we have now women in leadership in Rwanda. It's a good example. We have education for all. There's a number of factors, and there is, as I said, we are supporting also by gathering the people. As I say, our mission is to support the existing process of reconciliation. We have we gather people. Even today, I was facilitating a big meeting, youth and stakeholders, to heal and reconcile, facilitating the future, and contributing to stop intergenerational trauma, because one of the effects is the intergenerational trauma. In Rwanda, post-genocide experience, people living together, perpetrators and the victims, they live together in one village, they share one market, one hospital, one school. Even the challenge exists. But because of the good leadership we have, people are together, are working together, and they're working together to find the way to overcome those issues. This is where we came and are contributing in terms of gathering people to talk. We train leaders, facilitating interactions, even supporting community initiatives, and much our focus is supporting young people, because Rwanda, 70% of our population, they are young people, but they are meeting challenge. They are facing issue of trauma, intergeneration trauma. So we are doing that to stop intergeneration trauma. In post-genocide experience or reconciliation, forgiveness is possible. I met, and even today I met survivors who forgive perpetrators, which is not easy work or task. I meet perpetrators or I work with them, who ask forgiveness. There is a resilience, it's possible. Forgiveness, resilience, reconciliation is possible. It is not easy to understand someone who killed your family, killed your mother, or killed your husband, or your wife, entire family, to forgive him. But in Rwanda, it's possible. It's not easy to ask your neighbor to tell him that it's me who killed your family, or killed your family, or your families. But it's happening here. It's not easy, but it's possible in Rwanda. This is post-genocide reconciliation because of that leadership, I say, which is very good, a driving factor. It's a cornerstone of reconciliation. Forgiveness, I said, pardon, and even working together, seeing perpetrators working together with survivors. It's not easy, but it's possible here in Rwanda. And young people, they are playing a big role now to reconcile their families. Young people from perpetrators, from survivors, and those who are born from rape. I said it before that 50,000 women were raped. We have young people born from those painful experience or story. They are now adults. It's not easy, but they are here. They are human beings from the painful story. So we had Gachacha, as I said. The Gachacha contributed a lot to support the process of justice, social justice, reconciliation, even knowing the truth of what happened. It's a big question. Even young people are still asking what happened. But the Gachacha revealed the truth of what happened. And accountability, people were accountable. Post-genocide reconciliation, yeah, it has a lot of resources. It's very rich. But we still have challenge. One of the challenge is the trauma. The trauma, collective trauma, and young people who are being affected of the history. Intergeneration trauma, where we are contributing now to facilitate, to train leaders, young people as leaders of change, to support, to heal and support others at community level. and support society from the collective trauma. Post-genocide reconciliation revealed that Rwandans, the survivors, they are resilient. There is a resilience in Rwanda in post-genocide reconciliation. There is a resilience. Even today we were discussing on it, saying that if you go in the role of the policymaker, the one who found his family were killed, and is in a position to put the policies of reconciliation. This is it's a resilience, a policymaker. It's a very, very helpful to have such kind of people who can be able, who have that capacities. Yeah, post-genocide reconciliation, it can be applied, the stories of Rwanda and the experience of Rwanda, it can be applied everywhere, because in this world, we have some countries who are post-conflict countries. We can use those examples. Now we are in 30 years after genocide against the Tutsi. There is a lot of experience and resources which can be shared. The story of survivors, young people, policymakers, how people living together. Even that, people living together, working together, they are shaping their future together. Even the history, they are trying to be beyond the conflict and the history and look the future, facilitating the future, a shared future for the generation to come. We are lucky to have good leadership in Rwanda. The country is safety, and but we are open to people, as I said. My organization is working with communities. There is a lot of experience we can share with others. Thank you for this great opportunity. Here to share this information. Thank you for PeaceLab to organize this meeting. Thank you very much to listen my presentation. I know it's we have limited time, but let me conclude saying that if you have good leadership, it can help to heal. It can help people to be resilient. It can help people to reconcile. It can help to create environmental reconciliation environment where people can meet, even if it's difficult, but they can talk and heal and living together. We still have genocide ideologies. The effect of genocide is not in Rwanda, even it's affected all regions. Our neighbor country, DRC, we still have hate speech, genocide ideology is there, hate speech, people are killing each other. They are effect of genocide. So let me conclude and say that the leadership is a key in peace building, in building societal and overcoming the challenge. Yeah, the good leadership is a driving factor to bring changes and to reconcile people. So Rwanda can be a model, you can apply it. There is a lot of experience. And people can use those experience-based practices in Rwanda to support the peace building. And the peace is needed everywhere. Every person needs peace, country needs peace, and this world needs peace. My work was supported by, and is still supported by C4. We are using world work methods, where we do interactions, training, and large group, small group, people learn together, share, and support each other. Let me stop here in saying thank you so much and for your attention. And you are welcome in Rwanda. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Innocent. I really do have many questions, but I, hold on myself. First, thank you for mentioning it. I have just realized that this is 2024, which means it's the 30th anniversary of the genocide in Rwanda. I actually have never realized it before, and since it's end of March, it's very near and really coming, right? So the spirit of it is very present with that. I just wonder, you mentioned very briefly in the very end of your speech about the methods which you are using, the world work and C4 and the meetings you are running and facilitating. I wonder if you'd like to spend a couple of more minutes to describe those meetings and the method which you are using, or you can say, we put it for later on for the questions and answers part. Would you like to elaborate on it a little bit more now, or we do it later altogether?
Yeah, let me say it now. No problem. From 2015, I invited the C4 Jean-Claude Anglin to have partnership with me, with my organization. They accept. I participated, they invited me to intensive course. I was trained in leadership and conflict facilitation. From there, I invited them. We facilitated the first forum in June 2016, where we gathered perpetrators and survivors and local leaders. We have a small group. We had a small group of people. We do interaction, forum, and training of community facilitators. Yeah, from 2017, we had a project called Beyond the Conflict Rwanda, where the group grew. And after the COVID, we focused on young people, youth, where we do, engaging young people to talk. Young people from perpetrators and survivors born from rape, refugees. We work with in 6 communities. We are training those young people as agents of change, as to lead or to organize or to facilitate interactions at grassroots, using the method of small group and large group discussions, field work, and process work. There is a lot of lessons I learned from that and how the method was effective to support. I remember one day I asked the one lady, we were in interaction, which things help you speaking in large group in public? She responded saying that discussing in small group it helped me to share my experience in a large group. The method helped people to discuss in a small group and sharing it in large group. The method also helped people to speak out their emotions. You see, the wounded, the people were not able to speak out their wounds. By this method, people speak out their emotions. And this is a healing. This is a world work and process work method who is helping us. Using it is helping people to speak out their emotion, their painful experience. Let me say that, like speaking your experience, how your parents participated in a genocide, it's not easy. There is a shame around that. Speaking how your mother was violated, how you were born in violence, in raped women. It is not easy. It's a process, but it's a painful experience. Living with a parent or women or family traumatized because of genocide, it's not easy. But in small group, people are able to speak. From that strengthen, it helps people to speak in large group. Again, it helps people to take care of yourself and take care of others. Listening them, take your time, and understanding, and even roles. Yeah, let me say that the method is very effective to our context. We say that it was designed for us, Rwandans. It was designed for us because it is very, very effective. Since we start using this method or approach, I have a lot of invitation of communities and local leaders, district, please, can you come to establish those interactions at my community? Today I was with church leaders. I have a lot of invitation to facilitate interaction because people are speaking out. And one of the challenge is to hide. But if you are able to speak, the method shows us that talking your story, more you talk with others, more you heal. I always say that we don't teach reconciliation, but we facilitate how people can reconcile themselves. We have community initiative now where people working together, and before it was impossible. But now it's possible. Perpetrators and young people from those groups, as I say, they are working together for their future. The method is helping to facilitate the future. And this is very, very important. We are in commemoration now. Young people from all settings, they are understanding, they change mindset, they are doing commemoration together. Because commemoration also, remember, it's one of the driving factors for healing. So let me stop in this. We can even someone have another question, who can respond it. Thank you so much for asking this. But let me say this method was designed for us. It is very, very effective in our context. Thank you so much.
Thanks for sharing and clarifying. We'll share the link to the documentary of the world work in the chat, I guess, in a couple of minutes. Wow. I just find that it touches me, you know, when you speak about the whole thing, the context is brought up in me, and I'm shaking a little bit. Hey, you mentioned the power of sharing in the small groups first before speaking up in the large group. So that's what we suggest to do now. We split into groups of approximately 5 people, where we will give you 15 minutes. We invite you to briefly introduce yourselves. And then first, maybe just share, overall thoughts and feelings that you've had after Innocent's presentation, just to be in the same space. And then come up with the questions that you have, either to Innocent or to the whole group, or something you'd like to discuss. Just, put them together, share them so that we have them as a collective field and not just individual personal questions. And if you feel like, you can also put those questions in the sticky notes in the Jamboard, and I will share the link in the chat right now, so you can open it. It's easier to do in the laptop. So you can decide either, one of the people in the group just collects the questions and puts them to the Jamboard, or all of you do it, or it's not strictly necessary. Just for us to have the map of those questions. Sharing them and discussing them is more important than putting them to the Jamboard, but that can also help. Hey, welcome back now, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But do we have our chats, our rooms chats available? Do you see them as an organizer?
No, you should only be able to see your own room's chat, and I don't see the room's chats. I see only the general one.
Are they saved somehow? Or I tried to copy some of the questions, but I'm not sure that I copied all of them.
I'm afraid that only the general chat is being saved, but if you have put the questions to the Jamboard, they are all there. And also you can save your own chat by clicking the button. I guess we'll just return to that in the end of the meeting. But yeah, you can also save your own chat and everything that you saw.
If you save the general chat, you will also have the chat of your group in your saved chat. So please do it now, and then you'll have a chance to save your group discussion.
Okay.
So we actually do have a full board of questions. Let me just, quickly show it to you visually for those of you who don't have the Jamboard open. In just a sec. So, and they keep coming. So you see in just 15 minutes, we have plenty of questions, which means that chances are we won't be able to cover them all. And I'm sorry for that in advance. So that's how we are going to do that. We have around 30, yeah, well, half an hour, I guess, for the dialogue now, for the questions and answers. And we don't need to go one by one picking questions from the Jamboard. What matters is that you've shared those questions, and just as Innocent said, they have been spoken out, and they are in the shared space now. So now I invite you all to ask your questions to Innocent directly. You can either do it by raising your hand and just, asking your question by voice, and you can do it in English, or you can ask your question in Russian, and we will translate it sequentially. Or you can put them in the chat now and throughout the discussion. So those can be questions from the Jamboard, or those can be questions which haven't gotten there yet, but it really matters for you to ask them. And some of us, me or Dmitry or Lena, perhaps maybe we will also pick a couple of questions from the Jamboard that are not going to be asked by anyone, but we think they are important and we will ask them. And we'll translate them all to English and we'll send it to you, Innocent, after the workshop. So at least you have them. Maybe you will, wish to answer them somehow with a letter or anyhow. Let's see how it goes. But for now, it's a free mic kind of a thing. So just raise your hands, ask questions in the chat, and more or less free flow kind of a dialogue. Wait, first, Юлия.
Да, добрый день. У нас в конце возник такой вопрос, хочется его задать. Есть ли какая-то работа в Руанде сейчас над повышением уровня осознанности населения для того, чтобы люди научились думать самостоятельно и стали устойчивы к любой пропаганде от государства, как негативной, которая говорит, что одни плохие, другие хорошие, как и к той, которая дает любые нарративы, в том числе, которые действуют сейчас? Спасибо.
So the question from Julia's group they came up with in the end is, are there any programs in Rwanda currently that are working to raise the general awareness of the population in terms of critical thinking so that people are resistant to any kind of propaganda, would it be genocidal propaganda or any kind of narrative being forced on them by a state or any other actor? Is there anything like that?
Можно еще добавлю. У нас появилось такое предположение, что если такой работы не ведется, то есть ли вероятность, что придет другой президент и геноцид может повториться?
And she adds, and if this is not something that is being done, is there a chance you think that, the other day the president changes and the government has a different idea and then the whole thing repeats?
So I guess, the question is, Innocent, would you prefer to answer question by question or should we take them in groups? I see 2 more hands. How would you like?
You're muted. Innocent, your mic is muted. Yeah.
I'm saying I can ask one question by one question.
Great. Okay.
But yeah, someone asked about the general population. So there is a awareness. We do raise awareness on genocide, the history, what happened, and they are even talking on the effect of genocide, this awareness, and even what we call never again. We do awareness on it, how collective actions, awareness, commitment can support the never again we always talk about. So there is awareness raising at community level and youth groups and in education. Like now there is a program to integrate the genocide prevention in national curriculum, in education system, where we can have subject on it. There is subject on it in school, and even clubs of students in school on reconciliation and never again genocide prevention mechanism. There is a lot of education awareness rising about it. I think this is what I can say. The second question.
Okay, so the next hand we have is Mildred.
Hi everyone. Hi, I'm sorry. So my question goes like this. I'm a bit worried that genocide didn't start just like yesterday people wake up and start doing genocide. It must have a root cause. And in your presentation, you didn't tell us like what might have contributed to this genocide. And again, the first person who presented the question said that what measures are you putting in place to avoid people coming from other countries to bring ideas that are negative about this genocide? Because I'm sure everybody is writing about it, everybody is doing something about it, but what we've realized in the country, like in our nation, people take advantage of the slums. So they come up with so many initiatives, but to ensure that this slum is continuing, it is not being eradicated. So I want to know which measures are you putting in place to ensure that this issue of genocide, it is not being capitalized, but by people from outside Rwanda. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, my sister Mildred. How are you? Nice to see you again. Responding to your question, the root causes of genocide, there are so many, but let me say some. The one I can say, the root causes came from, we can say, colonialism. The colonialism has a role in genocide, dividing people, removing the tradition system, the kingdom, culture, bringing their religions, you see, dividing people, because the history shows that people used to live together, Rwandans. But the colonialism came with, have a role on it. This is one driving factor or root causes. The second is the bad leadership. People have been educated, taught to hate, they hate. The bad leadership in this country has a big role, even perpetrating genocide, because community or person can't do genocide. The government, the former government, supported genocide, not only supported. As you said, it's not something one morning can be happen. It's a long plan. A long plan where people were educated to divide, to hate, injustice, and inequalities. It's systemic. So it was a long plan. Doing a genocide was a final step or stay. Let me say that. The bad governance is root causes of genocide. Even the educational system. Some people were not offered the opportunity to study because they were Tutsi. You see, the young people grow up knowing that community were educated or informed that Tutsi, they are not Rwandese, they are enemies. Hate speech. People were educated to divide it, people educated to hate, people educated to all those things I'm saying, the government, they supported those ideologies. So the current government we have destroyed all of that, injustice, inequalities, and even the identity. The former government, genocide government, the identity, citizen identity, the card, they put your ethnicity. It also helped to know by, if I ask you your identity, I show you are who. You are Tutsi or you are Hutu. It helps even killing people. You see, it's not something who happened one day. It's a long plan. The system of justice, as I said, it was in the government system, the injustice, divisionism, was in a system of that leadership. So perpetrating genocide, or what helped genocide to be possible in Rwanda, the root causes was colonialism, bad governance, or bad leadership, let me say that. And yeah, there is a lot of factors, but let me say that, those factors.
Can I ask something out of this discussion? In a sense, you spent a lot of time describing the importance of good governing and good management in the social businesses. And I've heard you several times saying that one of the root causes for the genocide was a bad government, and one of the root causes for reconciliation now in Rwanda is a good government. Okay, so if we in a way simplify a thing to that particular area, I would like to ask what kind of a power you think should people have so that they can be a good government, and how we can make them accountable in a way so that we can produce the continuity in these good governments. Because the way I see it, and I have a concern about this, is that governments are changing, you know, and you never know which will be the next one. Is it going to be a good or bad one? So this is my question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Goran. Yeah, let me say this before responding this question. One, I'm not a politician. I'm not a government agent.
No, I
working with my organization, but my point of view, the good leadership we have now have put in place the policy for reconciliation, open the door to reconcile people, creating space. The policy created space where people can talk, where people can have justice with reconciliation, which is something new and innovative by culture, Rwandan culture, Gachacha. So we have now good leadership, we have a system. We hope that there is a hope. The continuity of what people achieved will continue. If you have system, leadership, where people now the injustice was removed in policy, divisionism was removed in national programs, people are benefiting equal rights, equal opportunities. I think this is factors to ensure the sustainability of this process. People are living together now. People reconcile. Young people, students, children, they are benefiting same opportunity. You see, but it was totally different with before 30 years, totally different. Some people benefited opportunities of education, getting jobs, you see, but now it's equal. We have equal rights. We have equal opportunities. There is no injustice. You see, I think those are pillars of the sustainability we want of this process, or what we achieve.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and identity, we are Rwandans now, not Hutu or Tutsi. It was removed in national ID. We are promoting being a Rwandan than backing the history being a Tutsi or Hutu. The ethnicity was removed from the ID. This is a big achievement.
Okay, great.
Thank you. I see, based on the chat and on the questions in the Jamboard, that the whole concern about, you know, putting trust into good leadership is, well, especially I guess for Russia, and many mention it in the chat box, that especially in Russia, that's difficult to put good faith in good leadership and good government, as you know, as long as you never know. So that stays debatable. Let me pass, you know, the question to Nikolai, and then maybe Elena from the team will ask some questions from the chat board, and then we'll return to the hands and questions in the chat. Nikolai.
Thank you, and thank you, Innocence, for your presentation. I have, yes, as a Russian citizen, a former USSR citizen, I have a concern when I hear about not just good leadership, but about strong leadership. We know from Soviet history, from Russian history, that such delicate issues, strong leadership can make divisions, hatred, make it silent, to press it out, heal it, but to press it out. So for me, it's a problem. But the question, it's another question, because you mentioned that you're not a politician. It's about forgiveness. We know from the experience of South African Truth Reconciliation Commission that such a intimate and delicate thing as forgiveness is, it's highly problematic. Do we deal with real forgiveness? A policy, a state policy, an ideology. It is a danger that this forgiveness is imposed, forced, that victims have no other option than to forgive. And we know from South African experience that many years ago, victims who embraced killers of their children, they say that, in fact, I always hated him and it was just lip service and so on. So how do you feel? Is it a problem here? And how do you deal with such a problem? Because when such an intimate thing became a state policy, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, thank you so much, Nikolai. Forgiveness, as I said, is possible when people have the space, the way to meet and talk together, discussing the issue together. It's not policy. We don't have a policy in Rwanda to forgive. But if you forgive, it's a result. It's an end result of the process. But there is no, on my information, there is no policy to forgive. But there is no policy to stop people to forgive. But people forgive. Those who ask, from my experience, what I have seen at community level, people ask the forgiveness and people forgive. Survivors forgive perpetrators. And it's a personal, it's not a state policy. It's a personal commitment. Asking forgiveness, it's a personal from bottom up or perpetrator. And forgiveness is from personal affairs of survivor. It's not a policy. And even I say it before, we don't teach forgiveness, but it's good. We don't teach reconciliation. It is good. We facilitate interaction. We create environment where people can meet and talk. The end result, 1 year, 2 years, or 1 month, people reconcile. People ask forgiveness. People forgive. This is what I saw from my experience. It's a forgiving, it's a personal, not collective, not state policy. It's personal business. Let me say that. But in Rwanda, from my experience, forgiveness is, even today, in the morning, I was with survivors, a woman who survived the genocide in Rwanda, genocide against Tutsi. 6 children were killed under his husband. She survived. And perpetrators, those who killed his family, asked forgiveness. And he forgave them. He was witnessing, he was sharing the experience of forgiveness, but as personal commitment. And I believe that when people, and what the government did, is to have that policy of reconciliation, to open the process, showing people commitment, because unity, reconciliation is the pillar of any development you can achieve. Because without it, it's a big barrier. But the opportunity to having the space, people talking together, in talking together they heal, they reconcile, and they found the path together. This is what we are doing, and this is what I saw here from my work, the experience of my work and post-genocide reconciliation. It's not state, let me say that. It's not state policy to forgive. It's a personal commitment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And on a personal note, I've just posted the link to the documentary of the world war in Rwanda, which I've mentioned. And when I myself watched it, there was a moment of the personal conversation between the woman and a man, that the woman who was a victim and the perpetrator. And there was a moment of remorse from the perpetrator, and it wasn't an immediate forgiveness. That was the whole process, even in the movie. And I guess even the movie perhaps even took only parts of that. Maybe it was actually longer. And there was a whole group process around that and the forgiveness as a result of that. And that was the most touching moment for me in the whole movie.
I think that would be my question, whether like forgiveness is required for some kind of reconciliation. When we look at the conflicts now, you know, hotspots in Ukraine and Russia and Israel and Gaza, you know, and what's gone on there, and some similar actions, you know, against civilians, against women and children, you know, can there be reconciliation without the forgiveness? And, you know, or should there be an expectation that sometimes there's not going to be forgiveness?
I know if you would like to comment on that, or that's a side note.
This is my question. Yeah, the experience of Gaza and Israel is another. But what I can say, one, having reconciliation policy, it's an opportunity. Forgiveness, it's in the process. We can't have forgiveness policy, but having political will, reconciliation policy or structure, infrastructure, creating that environment, people can forgive each other easily. But the case of Israel and Gaza, maybe let those who are informed more than me, they can respond it, because we are in a forum, we are in interaction.
Okay, and I'm sorry, this will be very short. This was from someone's book, but it was the idea that sometimes this forgiveness and even putting that in the space out there, then sometimes puts the onus, the action requirement on the victim. And I know you said it's a personal decision, and I like that, you know, that it's not required, but maybe you could speak to whether sometimes forgiveness can be putting the onus of the action onto the victim.
Wait, what do you think if we hang on this comment in the air for a while and let's see how it unfolds? I'm also aware of the time. Lena, would you like to ask some of the questions from the Jamboard, or we pass it on to the team with the raised hand first?
Yes, I think the team first.
Okay, so those who are the collective with the hand.
Здравствуйте. У нас вопрос, что делать, если человек не владеет методом, но если не владеет методом, есть ли какие-то советы или рекомендации, если его втягивают в конфликт, или он уже в конфликте?
Вообще не про геноцид, а вообще в целом.
И я тогда добавлю еще, у нас тоже много было вопросов, как начать примирение до войны, то есть как пойти по другой дороге, не в парадигме, да, вот война, а дальше примирение, а вот успеть еще до того, как этот конфликт начнется, уже начать говорить, уже начать диалоговые какие-то процессы.
So the guys in the group ask, what if you are not familiar with the method, which you mentioned, the process work, the world work, and still you are being a part of the conflict, or you are being dragged into the conflict? How do you deal with that? And Yelena also adds the similar question from the Jamboard. How do you reconcile, or how do you step on the path of reconciliation before the conflict escalates? So how do you prevent it?
Repeat again this question.
Yeah, how can you deal with the conflict if you are being dragged into the conflict, or how do you deal with that so that the conflict doesn't escalate? How you reconcile before it heats up?
Okay,
maybe
good,
some suggestions from you. Or...
Yeah, one is what I can say is there is prevention of conflict, preventing conflict through different things. And dealing with conflict, talking together can respond to both questions. Talking together, gathering people, they can help to deal with the conflict, the existing conflict or the past conflict, and it can help to prevent future violence or violent conflict. So talking together, and you see in the conflict, people avoiding even to meet. And I remember my experience from my work, gathering perpetrators and survivors was very difficult. But the result from it, without teaching them reconciliation, but they reconcile. You see, this is one of, it's a dealing, talking together, creating space can help to deal with existing conflict and past conflict. And it can help also to prevent future conflict. This is what I can say.
Thank you. I see Goran.
I'm saying it from my experience.
I'm eager. Well, first I see the Goran raising hand. Would you like to add something to that, or it's a different question,
Yes.
Goran?
Yeah, before adding that, I can preventing it. You can even engaging the young people, youth. They learn from the elders or adults, the past. It will help them to know the truth and prevent the conflict. Engaging young people. It's it's a good mechanism for conflict prevention. If they know the truth of what happens, they will help to deal with future violence or conflict. Thank you.
I would just like to add something, Vlad, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Because I am also kind of went out into this job from the war, from being in a war. And so I have the obligation to add something to this, which I agree absolutely with what Innocent says. It's the war is a powerful experience this way or another. We speak very often, very much about how we enter the war, but very little about how we exit one. And I'm talking on a personal level, because in general, there are two ways that you can emotionally exit the war. The one way is to feel bad about it, to feel resentment, to feel hatred, and to feel all these negative emotions that are very much understandable. The another thing to get out is to use it as much as it is possible as some kind of a learning experience that you can actually turn into your own portfolio of emotions, if you want me to say it that way. Both of these actions are absolutely legitimate. But one thing we have to know, whatever decision we make, it will be with us for the rest of our lives. And we have to think about it, because the war stops, but they don't end if you're not psychologically ready to accept the moment that it stops. That's it.
I can't think of the best bridge to the next workshop where Goran is going to be our guest speaker, but that's for a bit later. And thank you for this addition. I guess we have the time for one last question. So Lena, maybe if you pick one from those you've observed, and then we will try to conclude it.
Да, последний вопрос такой немного личного характера. Как вы сами справляетесь с этой работой, да, что самое сложное в этой работе? И был вопрос еще про людей, продолжают ли они, да, собираться вот этими группами, что ими движет, нет ли усталости от того, что перепроживается снова и снова этот опыт.
So, do you want me to pick it up?
Перевод? Давай.
So the question from Lena that was picked up from the Jamboard is a bit of a personal one. How do you personally deal with all those issues? And also, I mean, what gives you strength? What gives you courage to continue? And the second question is also, do people continue to gather in those forums, for those discussions at this stage as well? I hope I remembered it correctly.
Yeah, thank you so much. The strength is coming from my commitment. I remember a lot of times when I facilitating forums and interactions, when you hear the painful stories, it puts you down as a human being with a lot of emotions, but the strength comes from the commitment. Commitment as a human being, the commitment to help, the commitment to support the process. I think this is my response. It's a commitment. But the work is very difficult. Hearing people how they survive, it's not easy. Painful experience, let me say that, but we are committed to support. Sorry, this is our friends, and we hope that what we are doing is helping people. Not people, is helping the world. We started the community, countrywide. Now we are global. We are working with global community, you are here from different corners of the world. It's not helping us, but it's a commitment to help other people. That commitment, that courage, this is our strength. This is our force. This is what's helping us when we are weak because of what we hit, what we saw, what we experienced. The courage, the commitment to support is helping us. Thank you so much.
That's inspiring. I can literally feel the weight of so many questions unanswered, kind of, you know, pushing from behind. I don't know, which actually feels good, because this is a wave of resonance in the group and of the feeling that it matters and that it's crucially relevant for all of us at the moment, you know, from all the different countries we are here. It's time to conclude. And I will finish with a couple of announcements and with the words of gratitude. So first,
yeah, but before conclude, before conclude, I would like to hear someone. If did you learn something, any experience from this group? I will be up for that.
If anyone would like to share.
Well, if nobody wants, then I will say thank you to Innocence, not particularly for this, only for this session, but for the work that he's doing. I mean, to do the things after such traumatic event, and to personally engage so much into this, and to believe. We are all here because we believe that people are better than we think, or they show themselves, and that strength to believe in that after the experience you had, Innocence, is just breathtaking. It's absolutely fascinating, and I commend you very much for your work, and I wish you all the best, and I mean, from the depth of my heart.
If I can just add on to that, I would like also to appreciate Innocent for the work he's doing and what he's been engaging into. Just to add on, I also appreciate the forum itself, because I've learned a lot, and mostly when somebody commented like, how do you even trust the government? Why can't people be given the power to control some things, because the government comes and goes? What if a bad one comes into place? What will happen again? Will genocide take place again? That is so powerful. It's my take home. Thank you so much, guys.
See many people put in the hearts and also writing thank you in the chat.
And I can add a few things maybe to the words of appreciation, because I made a reference of that into the chat. The fact that especially with my identity as a human rights defender, we focus so much on the aspect of justice, you know, bringing perpetrators to justice, which is a difficult thing when you're dealing with atrocities of the scale of genocide, of aggressive war, and so on. But even more difficult task is how do you reconstruct the fabric of the community, of a society that is broken by those events, and also by the hatred that you fall into, even in the pursuit of justice. And it's a very difficult subject for me. I'm kind of confessing here. So I really appreciate you bringing that experience in with your stories. And so it's very alive for me now. That dilemma between justice, if I may put it this way, and reconciliation. Because I'm not sure you can work one without another, but finding a balance is quite a difficult task.
Samo sekundu. Čekaj.
And I know there's a space of silence, and I think we should.
Да, я хотел бы тоже добавить.
Okay, sure. Vyacheslav wants to add something.
Да, сегодняшний воркшоп заставил меня немножко по-новому посмотреть на взаимодействие разных инициативных людей и правительства. И я, наверное, думаю, что если мы хотим достичь устойчивого мира, ну, в контексте российско-украинской, то нужно инициативу отдельных людей объединять с теми ресурсами, которые есть у органов государственной власти. И тогда мы только вместе сможем, собственно, что-то большое сделать. Потому что до воркшопа у меня была мысль, что окей, если вы как государство это затеяли, значит вы не способны это как-то провернуть фарш назад и что-то изменить. Но теперь я думаю, что действительно нужно искать точки, чтобы задействовать инициативу на низах и ресурсы государственных чиновников. Да, вот это было для меня инсайт. Спасибо.
And Vyacheslav is saying that one of the insights that he has taken is how people who demonstrate initiative, who are active, can actually cooperate with those in power, and how can we also dealing with the very uneasy task of overcoming the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, for instance, how we can use the resources that those in power have to further our cause, to cooperate between civil society, basically, activists on one hand, and people in power and people with resources on the other hand. The workshop made him look differently at that aspect of cooperation. So, I mean, I'd love to stay more, and I think there are many questions that are unanswered, but at some point we have to draw a conclusion. So, and Vlad, you wanted to say a few things about how we want to go further with that?
Yeah, and I feel very humbled to be completing this meeting, and I feel the space of silence, which is difficult to interrupt. So how do we follow it up? There are two events which are already scheduled, and we'll put them in the chat shortly. One is we have the circle meeting. Remember, I mentioned circle in the beginning of the workshop, meaning that those who are interested not only to listen to the speaker, but also to discuss different takeaways and maybe weave together our initiatives and reflect upon and brainstorm ideas. So, you know, more of a inner circle of the project, which is yet open for everyone who would like to join. So we have the next meeting of the circle on the 6th of April, so the next Saturday at 11 a.m. Moscow time. And the way you join it, if you wish, is you join the Telegram chat group, which I'm putting the link to. And we will also send the link in the follow-up letter, perhaps tomorrow, I guess. And in case you won't be able to join the meeting, you can join the chat anyway, and you'll be in the loop to stay in touch at least. And then the next thing is we have the third workshop planned with Goran, who has been present today already. And the topic is actually yet to, be clarified. Goran, I don't know if you would like to say just a couple of words about yourself and maybe your intention for the next workshop very briefly.
Just before that, if I may, about the circle and about some of the questions that are left unanswered, because some of them came in Russian, some of them came in English. And I think as a team, as an organizing team, we'll take the job to translating it into both languages. So they stay with us. And the next circle meeting will be a space to address some of those questions. Of course, we cannot answer them all, but we'll pass them to Innocent, maybe, if you have the time, the space to answer some of that, would be great. But those questions will be left for us as a homework also, and as our own search as well. So circle is a space also to look for some of those answers, not only from our speakers, but also for ourselves. So let me just say that. And if some of you are interested in focusing more on researching in depth about the Rwanda case, that's also a possibility, just as we announced before, that looking into the notion of human security is also an option for those who are interested in not just maybe jumping from one topic to another, but going in depth into some of those subjects that we covered very briefly during the workshops. So I'll end at this, and then we move to Goran, and maybe you can say a few words about the future.
Yeah, actually, my plan is to talk about two different subjects. One is what makes dialogue successful in reconciliation processes and conflict resolution processes, and how to set up a dialogue intervention. So basically, this is it. But as we all know, God in dialogue doesn't care for people plans. So so whatever goes from there, I'm okay with that. But this is basically, I'm going to speak less about the experience, but more about the method, and more about the qualities of the method.
Oh. So Goran is maybe too humble to say about his I don't know, many things that he's done, but you can read about it on the website. Goran is a part of the Nansen dialogue network, which I guess some of you may have heard of. And the next workshop with Goran is going to be on April 16th at 6 p.m. Moscow time, 4 p.m. CET. So you're also going to get the link and register, and as always. And Innocent,
I look forward to meet you all. I look forward to meet you all. Hopefully,
yeah. And if you use Telegram, all of you, please join the chat, because I know that some of the people did not get the link on time, but the chat helped some of us to join. So perhaps that's also a good way to stay in touch. And the link for the chat on Telegram is also in this Zoom chat.
Yeah. We'll save the chat, and I guess we will send you the takeaways from it. We're having the recording, and if none of you will write to us that you would like it somehow to be cut, then we will publish it and you'll get it. And in the spirit that, like, you see, Goran has joined today's meeting, for instance, and Innocent, I don't know, maybe if you wish, you can join the circle meeting as well. So we don't want it to be this vertical space where there are expert speakers who come and talk and then they leave, but instead we want to build a community and network where we all change roles. Maybe actually some of you who are present at the moment here as participants, we actually don't know about your expertise, and maybe you're going to be one of our next speakers. So let us know if you have something to share. That's also a possibility. So we really would like to build something more of a community or a movement, and not just a media project. And with that said, I just want to thank Innocent once again. Your presence here, well, for me, even more than just words and like what you shared about, but how you shared about it, and your presence and your personal take on it was worthwhile. And I'm personally taken away from this conversation the thing about commitment. So I think that civic peace building may be the single criteria for people to engage in civic peace building is not even some expertise or skills or background, but this commitment to this hard and difficult and challenging work. I wonder if that's something that unites us here. And also, I haven't yet mentioned and thanked Maria, who is our translator, and those of you who speak Russian only were able to hear her voice in the translation channel. And I know how difficult that is. Thank you so much. Maria also translated the previous meeting, and we hope you stay with us in the team. And the rest of the team, Dmitry, Lena, Daria, another Daria, me. Thank you for organizing the whole thing. We are doing it as a volunteer project, so that's also our commitment, I guess. Yeah, and thank you, because this meeting is made possible for you and by you, all of you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
See you all next time.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And as I mentioned in the beginning, any ideas of where to take this further are welcome. Whether we go into deeper research into particular subjects or we touch a different area.
Yeah, I will be sharing some documents,
That's
some
also
resources.
possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And stay in touch and check your inboxes, because some of you might be missing our emails. Don't miss them.
Yeah, you can send them my email. We can chat for those who want.
Great. Great. We'll share your contacts with the participants then, and maybe some
share
of them
with
will
them.
contact you. Thank you for that.
Bye.
See ya.